Welcome back to the 150th Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series Tournament. Live from Columbus, Ohio. We are running the fast break here, featuring Donald Johnson and his Ultra Athlete deck. Something that we have not seen in tournament competition, especially not with this many wins, ever.
Yeah, it's quite the unique choice, especially this deep into the tournament, as you stated.
And if you are wondering who that is with me, remember always that Mike Kohanim is a master of gladiator beasts, and he has decided to tag out for a round to be replaced with Robert Boyajian.
Thank you for the introduction.
So, on Johnson's side, we have UA Stadium. That's a field spell, gets you extra attack points when you special summon. He played UA Signing Deal to get UA Midfielder from his deck, and then returned that to his hand to summon... Looks like
UA Perfect Ace?
Yes,
I don't know.
Perfect Ace.
The judge is reading it.
Perfect Ace is used to negate the activation of cards or effects by discarding a card. And with the UA Stadium, its attack and defense are increased.
Yeah, normally this would be a really strong opening turn one with Kaiser Coliseum, but unfortunately he's playing against Quillfort, whereas they don't necessarily need to commit so many monsters. They can kind of just set up with Sacrifice and then follow up next turn by tributing a wave with something like a Quillfort Stealth, and then bounce away and deal with whatever.
Upstart Goblins up first. Quick correction, UA Stadium increases the attack only, not the defense, but it's got a significant amount of defense anyways.
Yeah.
Second Upstart Goblin. Digging through those cards, looking for scouts, looking for something. He's got Sacrifice and a monster in hand already.
Yeah, that's super important. I think his hand is completely trapped along with the Sacrifice.
He sets and then flips Sacrifice.
Bold move.
And it's joined by 4 other face-down cards. Now he's got all sorts of traps in there. Most of them are for locking people down. He's using the new lose 1 turn. Along with that, he's got double Mirror Force, which we've seen a lot of, actually. Everybody so far, I believe, has played Mirror Force somewhere, except for a Necroz player.
Mirror Force lets you completely wipe the board against Necroz when they do the play with Kaleidoscope into Unicorn and Valkyries. So if they're not playing around it, they can get punished pretty severely with it. I believe his other backer also Bottomless Trap Hole and Veins Emptiness. So he has quite a plethora of good trap cards back there.
Normal summon, UA Midfielder. Midfielder has 1,400. And lose 1 turn is activated. Midfielder's effect is activated. And he targets Perfect Ace.
It looks like he's going to summon Goalkeeper.
Yep. Goalkeeper, if you're familiar with the card Stardust Spark Dragon and its ability to protect one of your cards from destruction once per turn, that is what Goalkeeper does, but only for UA monsters. He then swaps out for Perfect Ace again, and both are now in defense position with their effects negated. That's only for this turn, though.
Yeah, which makes the it makes the Goalkeeper significantly better because he can use his protection effect during his opponent's turn. So it gets around lose a turn, fortunately for him.
Well, one thing to look out for there is that he had to put a second monster in his field to do that, which diminishes the effectiveness of Kaiser Coliseum.
Agree. But it looks like his opponent just drew nothing. It was forced to pass. So it plays back to Johnson.
Midfielder is back again. Effect is activated. Goes for Dreadnought Dunker. The monster that dunks so hard that it blows away cards that he doesn't destroy.
Oh, man. So does UA have an efficient way of getting around Sacrifice? Or it looks like he's just going to try to wall up, right?
Yeah.
And just keep on drawing cards until he finds it out, and that's especially effective with the blocker. For the
Yes.
goalkeeper.
Keep his guys around. Let's take a look at his deck and see what he's got. Penalty box would probably be the best way around it, since it lets you banish the monster temporarily.
Yeah, that's very, very good. And then he gets additional use out of it. Even if it gets destroyed, he gets to banish it to search for more cards.
Monarch Stormforth
That is also a
would
strong
also be
out.
the way to do it.
Yeah.
That'll be a normal summon, so whatever he summons with it is not going to be affected by a lose one turn. Gets the Dunker.
Almost trap hole in response. But then he's able to protect it.
He's trying to use the goalkeeper, is he not?
Yeah. Onto the block. Onto the Dunker.
That doesn't work. It only happens during your opponent's turn.
Oh, he also gets to activate the effect of Quill Fort Carrier to balance an opponent's monster because it was tributed.
Yep.
That's especially good.
And that also gets some sacrifices effect to go find the scout.
Yeah. The key piece that he was missing. It looks like as long as Lose a Turn continues to mitigate what Johnson's trying to do, he should be able to make a comeback now. He also has Skill Drain in his hand with Scout, so he can slowly set up and then work past everything.
It'll be interesting to see when Johnson eventually decides to use the effect of his Perfect Case. Dreadnought Dunker deals damage, and that means that Lose a Turn is out.
Still signing up for various structure deck. Hero Strike from Light on your page. Tag Dueling, Duelist-Team, and both Beta format and regular format.
Finish things off. Picks that back up and replaces it with the goalkeeper again. Now, if you're wondering what that six-sided die is on the goalkeeper, that is the effect of UA Stadium. UA Stadium's 500 attack point boosts not end at the end of the turn. So if you keep a single monster on the field from turn to turn, you can keep stacking up all of the attack points on all the monsters you currently control. The only one that's been constant, though, is Perfect Ace.
That's especially strong in this matchup because cards like Skill Drain won't affect the boost.
Correct.
So he will be able to run over whatever monster as long as the sacrifice isn't there and it's already hit the graveyard.
And he's got enough cards that should the Skill Drain be activated,
He can negate.
he can just negate it.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Presumably he wound up using the Perfect Ace to block the bottomless trap hole. Otherwise, I'm not quite certain how Dreadnought Dunker survived.
Yeah.
So the
Midfielder.
goalkeeper swapped out for the Dunker, joined by the midfielder. Welcome to the Sportsagon, where we play all the games at once. Now taking a closer look at UA midfielder. You can summon it by returning a UA monster you control to your hand, except another midfielder, as always. You can only do that once each turn. During either player's turn, you can target another UA monster you control, return that to your hand, then summon a UA monster from your hand with a different name as that monster. You can only use that effect once per turn.
It looks like he swapped out the midfielder for Mighty Slugger.
Mighty Slugger has an Armades type effect, where your opponent can't use cards or effects.
So not the strongest in this. Oh, it's very good against the Mirror Force, but he's just going to catch him on the Dunker instead.
The Dunker throws down, Mirror Force blocks it, and I think he very wisely opts to let the monsters go in that case. Because if he used Mighty or Perfect Ace to negate that, he was going to get Skill Drain.
Yeah, that's actually really heads-up play by Johnson.
UA Signing Deal, blocked by Vanity's Emptiness. Believe it or not, you can actually do that while you have monsters on the field. Many cards of that type, like a Hero Lives, don't allow that. Signing Deal does.
Yeah, Signing Deal seems like a very similar card to Hero Lives, but a lot more upside.
There's a lot of happy UA players out there when that card was released.
It's a good deal.
A Perfect Ace at this point. He has gained how much? 2,000 attack points, if our count is to be believed. That puts him up at 3,500 attack. The score right now is 8800 to 3,200 in favor of Johnson over Geygan-Edmonds.
That's going to make Cool Fort Scout even more costly, having to pay himself down even further.
Yep.
And then having such a large ace that can also negate whatever effects. As long as he continues to play around skill drain, that's very, very dangerous.
He's got the skill drain and he's got Coliseum, so it's kind of hard to get anything going on the Cliff Fort side of the table.
Oh, he's choosing to negate here, but it's going to pump
The
the skill
scout.
drain.
That's the skill drain.
But that's going to be 1,800 total points paid. That's going to put him down to 1,400.
I don't even know if he can survive. Even if he puts a monster out there, is he going to be able to survive the hit from Perfect Ace? That's embarrassing. That happened to the Dodgers the other day.
Yeah, going to hit him right out of the park, I'm sure.
So thinking very hard about what he's going to get with that Cliff Fort Scout. What can you really get at this point to try to get yourself back in here?
I mean, it's because skill drains face up, he might be able to find... Can he find a monster? Yeah, if he finds a Cool Fort Shell, it should have enough attack to swing over the Perfect Ace, right? The Stadium only gives attack?
Only gives attack. He does have one shell in his deck.
Yeah, so that might be the card to find here. I guess he could also find one of the other large Quill Forts, but it seems like he's not going to win the game via Shell's effect, so he might as well just find Shell. But
And he doesn't. He goes for Carrier instead.
yeah. Interesting.
He's got a Stealth in hand, along with Summoner's Art.
So you can use the Summoner's Art to turn off the Veins Emptiness and find himself a
Yeah,
Cool Fort
you'll
Monolith,
get
and then
Monolith.
Pendulum Summon. Well, he can only Pendulum Summon one. Maybe he doesn't realize that, and that's what he's doing. Because he might try to Pendulum Summon both the Carrier from his extra deck and the Carrier from his hand in order to summon the Stealth.
Yeah, that would
But
not work.
Yeah, that would not work out. Could very well just cost him the game. And maybe he didn't realize it before because there were so many UA monsters that he just kind of ignored the fact that Coliseum was there.
Yep, that's one of the advantages you get by playing a bunch of cards that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah. Well, no, he can also just Pendulum Summon and then tribute for the single cost
Single
tribute monster
character?
to bounce it away.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure if that's more effective, but it lets him dig a card further with Monolith's effect and kind of keep his card economy high.
And that is...
Yeah, see, here he didn't realize the Kaiser Coliseum. So now he's going to have to change his game plan.
I think you're ahead of the game in this case. Now he goes for the one.
Luckily, he's still able to continue here because he searched the one-cost guy for his initial plan.
Perfect Ace, bounce back to the hand. And now Edmonds is faced with the arduous task of trying to deplete 8,800 life points, a lot of which he gave him.
Yeah, thanks to Upstart Goblin. Regardless of how much he digged, he still couldn't find Scout soon enough. So it's fairly unfortunate.
So with 1,400 life points left, Edmonds passes back to Johnson, who's just picked up Reinforcing of the Army.
I was giving his deck list a quick check to see if he played any cards similar to Exiled Force, because that seems like a very popular out to Gin Releaser rituals, and in this case it could get around the skill drain, but I don't even think it's necessarily... It wouldn't even necessarily be that great, because you couldn't follow it further, but here he can find the heroic...
Yeah, Assault
Challenger,
Halberd.
Assault Halberd, yeah.
Lets him get into his extra deck.
Yep. For the single Naturia Beast that won't
Oh, yeah, that's
do
right.
so much, yeah. Unfortunately, Johnson's only using one card in his extra deck, a single copy of Naturia Beast to go with his Glow Bulb.
I wonder if he felt he didn't need it, or if he's just making a statement.
Let's just hope it's a statement.
And it does appear that Edmonds has forgotten to draw with his Monolith.
Oh, that is very unfortunate. So we know
Assault
someone's
Halberd.
move. Oh, he's
And
going to change
Fielder.
that.
Interesting.
It's interesting that he did that with Skill Drain Army face up, and he didn't do it more preemptively, because he could have done it preemptively in response to the Reinforcement of the Army in order for for the Assault Halberd to come out in defense mode, whether he special summons itself in defense mode or he switches it with lose a turn. But now I think he's worried about the extra deck thing, and that's why he flipped it up to try to get the Xyz monster in defense mode. But
Right.
little does he realize.
That there's only one. It's probably that yellow one right up there.
Yeah.
UA Stadium, when he normal summoned the midfielder again, is letting him get another card, so he grabs another Mighty Slugger. In terms of things that are bigger than the 2400 attack carrier,
Doesn't look like he runs any copies of Playmaker,
yeah, it's just going to be
the Dreadnought Dunker. But
Dunker and anything he can make big enough via Stadium.
he only plays a single copy of Dunker, though. Is it already in his grave? Or, no, I think it's still in his hand, maybe. It got returned. I'm not sure.
Again, though, because he played the Assault Halberd, he's back up to 2 monsters on the field.
Yeah.
And that might get him stealthed.
That is most definitely very true. Here, he almost may consider attacking into the Quill Fort Scout with the Assault Halberd just to put himself back down to 1 monster.
Get him back off the field.
Yeah. Like, as unfortunate that is, it may be necessary to not lose to the stealth. But it doesn't look like he chose that option. He draws a Helix for turn. Oh, this is going to be really, really good.
Presumably that is Pendulum Summon.
Yeah. Now he's going to tribute both away for stealth, which will get rid of either the Stadium or the Coliseum, and then also bounce away a monster.
So that's what? Helix and Carrier
Yeah.
and Stealth?
Yeah.
So a total
well,
of-
stealth won't trigger because of the skill drain.
Right.
Well, it won't resolve.
You can still put it on the chain anyway.
Yeah. Still, Johnson is just like a single Stormforth away from being able to win the game on the spot.
Yep.
So it's crazy how close he is. Just trying to clinch victory.
It's the combination of lose 1 turn and skill drain that's making this so difficult because his monsters are getting thrown into defense position.
Yeah. Lose a turn specifically. Yes, I completely agree.
Stadium's back. Midfielder also back.
Activates the effect of Stadium.
He's taking a look at that. That is Blockbacker he's taking a look at.
Just large defense, maybe.
Large defense, and just happens to have basically the same effect as lose a turn. Your opponent special summons a monster, you can change its battle position, and if you do, negate their effects.
Yeah. Everyone seems to be giving it a read.
Solid card.
Most definitely is. But the issue is that Scout's still face up, and Scout is just going to slowly allow... Well, I guess he only gets one
He
more
gets
search.
one search for the rest of the game.
Yeah. He might just want to search for a large attack monster. It seems strange to me that he didn't try to kill the Coliseum versus the Stadium, because it didn't seem like... Because he was able to bounce away the UA anyway,
Right.
and the Stadium only boosts during the end phase. Is that right?
It boosts when you special summon, but
You
it's
special
only to
summon?
the attack.
Okay. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like he probably did it because he was scared, not knowing what Johnson could do with the Stadium. But now, because the Coliseum's still up, he's facing the same problem he was facing last turn, where he just can't do anything because of the Coliseum.
I think it was the life points. The whole, if that
Yeah.
Stadium keeps pumping things up, he might just run down my monsters.
Yeah,
Forgetting that he has lose a turn up to stop that from happening.
it's unfortunate. We saw him misstep a little earlier, so maybe it's just that on top of the fear of having such low life points culminating.
One search left, though. What do you do with that? Your one monster can't beat the goalkeeper. You need something to boost your monster's attack points.
Unfortunately, sacrifices in the graveyard.
I guess he could, well, he can't get a different pendulum spell because
Yeah,
he
he
can't
can't
get
play
rid of his
them
current ones.
The only way he can do that is if he helixes his own card. But that also seems...
He has
strange. He has a single copy of Mystical Space Typhoon, which might end up being
And
an
he's
out, but
drawn into his one-off Pot of Riches, so he's probably thinking about that right now. Pot of Riches is activated. And now it's Johnson's turn to say, well, hey, what does that do? It's from Secrets of Eternity. It shuffles pendulum monsters from your extra deck or graveyard, 3 of them, back into your deck. We'll let you draw 2 cards. And then your only special summons for that turn have to be pendulum summons.
Typically not the most popular choice because you usually want your pendulum monsters in your extra deck. However, I can understand just wanting to put cards back in, draw more cards, trying to find whatever traps you need and whatnot. And that's very integral to the Quillfort strategy.
When you have such a dependence on the traps, you got to dig for that stuff.
Exactly.
And he's got some.
Yeah, both Compulsory and Mind Crush are so good here. Like, Compulsory lets him be significantly less scared about what Johnson could possibly do, and then Mind Crush can also hit the midfielder, which he has a full set of in his hand.
And Johnson doesn't realize that he doesn't have to show because all three went down. That's not a basic game rule, by the way. The game rules don't entitle you to do that. That's just a tournament policy rule.
That's interesting. I did not know that. I mean, fortunately for him, Jonathan probably doesn't know exactly what all of the UA monsters do until they hit the field, so knowing which ones he has in his hand probably isn't the best advantage he could have.
Well, the answer in this case is not that one that you keep playing every single turn.
Exactly. Oh, he finally chooses to pay for the scout. So he must have some kind of plan as to what he's going to do.
Down to 600 once that happens. And he's taking a look at another carrier. Rather, it'd be a first carrier at this point since they're all gone.
His plan might be just to... Actually, I don't know how good that is, but he could possibly just tribute over the stealth for... In this case, he grabs Helix. So he could just tribute over 4 Helix, try to protect the Helix for a turn, and then tribute that away to blow away the Kaiser Coliseum, which he now realizes is the real problem. Especially now because he feels so safe with the compulsory evacuation device, and he has drawn Book of Moon, so that's another defensive card. So he's just going to slowly try to grind out of this. He also has Quillfort Scout in his hand, which isn't the best card, but it means he can tribute away the Helix if it lives a turn, just to blow away the Kaiser Coliseum, and then try to mount something from there.
Yeah, pendulum summon all his guys back.
Can't do that because of the... So once again, just not realizing.
Kaiser Coliseum is just a really nasty card.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets to complain too much, though, because he's played multiple lose-1 turns and a skill drain.
Exactly.
Fair's fair.
And Mind Crushing for 3 also. It's interesting the compulsory here. Oh, it gets around Kaiser's Coliseum. I didn't even realize that. That was a little foolish of me. He's able to just game him right there with a compulsory evacuation device.
Yep.
Seems like it took him a little long, but...
Skill drain, negating the effects of those monsters, keeps them both at 2,800, which is more than Johnson's remaining 5,400. That was going so well until he played into that skill drain.
Yeah.
It's the kind of card you can't really game plan for that much. It's limited. You don't know when it's going to show up.
It seemed like he was playing around in the beginning, but maybe at one point he just thought that because Jonathan didn't attempt to use it at one point, that he might have just not had it and then just gave up playing around it, and that's ultimately what cost him.
Could be.
Yeah. It looks like Johnson's going to try to, or Donald's going to try to side in shared rides, which I'm not necessarily sure is the most effective card against Quillfort because he usually just trades 1-for-1 on Scout, right?
If you're going to trade 1-for-1 on Scout, you can use the Mind Crushes and be done for it.
Exactly. So unless he has like cards that he really wants to take out, which I don't even necessarily think he has because all of his cards seem pretty good against Quillfort, especially cards like Royal Decree. I guess he can take out Advanced Emptiness, but even that's not the worst card to have, especially because he can turn it off so easy because he has like cards like Terraforming, Upstart Goblin, and whatnot. Reinforcement of the army as well.
Turnover tactics I don't think is super useful here since there's no extra deck monsters being flung around.
That is also pretty true.
I wonder how good Monarch Stormforth really is when attributing your opponent's monsters might just hose you.
Yeah, because it could be Carrier or Helix. In every other situation, though, it seems pretty good. In a lot of that game, he was locked behind a skill drain with a monster. So if that monster ends up being like a stealth or a disc, then I think the Monarch Stormforth is still worthwhile. Like you just don't... basically, in the situations where it's suboptimal for you to use it, you just don't use it unless you really need to. And then it's still in your deck for those situations where it can get around the skill drain what you need to. Because it seems like Johnson's plan before was to press for a bunch of damage, but then he just couldn't find those last few points. So the Monarch Storm 4 allows him to just find those last few points by getting around the monster and summoning Geygan to attack.
Interestingly enough, it looked like he was putting at least one copy of it in his pile to side out.
I mean, maybe he didn't realize that the Quill Forts got their effects last time, and because he was so scarred by like, oh no,
Yeah.
I lose a card.
Overreacting to it.
He's just. That actually seems to be pretty common of most players. They'll see some interaction or see something affect them in one game that isn't necessarily going to happen all the time, or they can do something about, but because it impacted the game so much, they overcompensate it after. So I think that's what's going on with the siding out of Stormforth here, but that also may be incorrect. It also looked like he sided in 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, 2 Shared Ride, and 2 Mind Crush, but not Raigeki or Darkhole.
Huh.
Yeah, so
Either of those would have solved the situation last time around.
exactly. Like, arguably, Darkhole is not the best because you have Kaiser Coliseum, so you don't
Right.
want to blow up your own cards. But Raigeki, just one-sided destruction,
it's
seems
just-
very efficient. But we'll see what happens.
On Edward's side, I mean, he's got his own Mystical Space Typhoons in there, but I wonder if he's going to throw in that Towers.
It seems like that could
Doesn't
be
seem like the best plan because of Kaiser Coliseum, and he might
Yeah.
just get walked down behind it. But never know.
Vanious Fiend might also not be the worst, right? Because they keep on special summoning themselves. Or Galaxy Cyclone also looks good. Are their special summons inherent, or do they activate?
Yeah, they're not effects that activate.
Okay, so then you can only use Maxi in response to midfielder.
Right.
Is midfielder the one that swaps? Okay. Or the signing deal. Maxi doesn't even seem that bad, just as a way to cycle through, but it also might not be the most effective card either.
Johnson goes first and starts with the face down card and 2 Speller Traps.
Two copies of 9 Crush. Yeah.
Edward's double Mind Crush.
Yeah, hopefully for Edwards, Johnson just tries to resolve something like a Reinforcement of the Army or Terraforming and catches him with 1 Mind Crush and then gets to resolve the other now with the information.
Yep.
But now I think he's just digging for Scouter or Summoner's Art and found
He found both.
Yeah,
And
or
skill
skill
drain.
drain,
Now
yeah.
that's
that's quite the pile.
if skill drain wasn't there, then
It'd be a snap decision.
yeah.
It's a little rough here. Also, Edmonds has to consider now whether or not he might want to use the Mystical Space Typhoon from his hand as a way to like try to just blind 50-50 against another Mystical Space Typhoon, or try to get rid of Mind Crush.
Scout goes to hand and gets hit by Mind Crush.
That's super unfortunate.
And now he knows that there is a lot more Mind Crush in his future.
Yeah, now Johnson can just avoid searching as much as it might hinder him, but if it's unnecessary, then he just doesn't need to do it.
You know, there's basically no offense in that
Yeah.
hand. Carrier comes down with 3 face downs.
Chooses not to attack. It seems like he might want to attack there just to gauge on like what Johnson's game plan is from there forward, but I'll see, and he could have gotten a glow up bulb, which, oh man, this might be the plan
Yeah,
in
that
action
could be
where he can make
nasty.
Naturia Beast, but that's the perfect ace, or is that Slugger?
That
it's Mighty
is
Slugger.
Mighty Slugger.
Yeah, so he can't make Naturia Beast quite here, but he has the glow bulb at the ready, so any level 4 Earth gets him Naturia Beast, which
Well,
if
he's
this
got
is the
those,
situation where if he gets it early, as long as Edmonds can't find a skill drain or something similar, it's pretty bad. Oh, but now he just put a card in his hand for Mind Crush.
He traded back for Dunker,
That's
and
super
Edwards
interesting.
knows what that is.
Yeah, so now during his draw phase, he can just Mind Crush away the Mighty Slugger if he wanted to and see the next card. Then he might not need to, but now he has the option, which...
I
What's
get
that?
the impression that, in this case, Johnson doesn't care.
Yeah, that most definitely seems like it too. Oh,
He's picked up
Heroic Challenger.
Heroic Challenger.
The Assault Halberd is probably one of his best draws here because not only can it replace itself, but it also provides you with the material needed to Synchro Summon Naturia Beast. But now
Yes.
Edmonds is going to consider Mind Crushing, and then he could potentially just rip the Halberd out of the hand in addition to the Mighty Slugger.
In the main phase, or he's trying to go to the main phase.
Oh, he's trying to activate the effect to switch out, but it looks like they don't realize that it's inherent. Oh,
Yeah.
after it.
It's
Okay.
an argument over phase changes,
Yeah.
basically.
MST, I don't think it was the smartest thing there not to Mind Crush Halberd. Halberd's
you
so
have
strong,
to.
it can replace itself and makes an Eternity Beast. Maybe he doesn't even realize an Eternity Beast could come, but
He can't, otherwise he would have done it.
yeah. I mean, it's questionable, though, like, why else would he be playing Glowbulb in his Earth-themed deck? So, I'm not sure. It's a little rough. At least he has something else to Mind Crush, but Mind Crushing the second Halberd is much worse than Mind Crushing the first.
Which is interesting. He attacks first with the Halberd to get its search for another copy of Halberd. Mighty Slugger obviously goes through without a problem. And they do a quick check on the life points, trying to reconstruct the game.
See how much Edmonds actually goes down to.
Slugger's 2,300, hit for 15 over the carrier. And now we've got another 23 and an 18.
So if your calculations are correct, he should be at 2,400 after all that, because that's 5,600 points of damage.
56.
Looks like everyone's verifying, making sure.
And Johnson's just like, let's get on with it. I want my main phase too. I'm going to do something cool on TV.
But he just chooses not to go for the global. He
Decides
might just be
not
too
to
worried
go
about
for
the potential trap cards. Like, there's so many good cards that Quillfort has access to that makes Naturia Beast worse, like Skill Drain, etc. Or in this case, Edmonds also has Fiendish Chain.
I'd agree with you, but he's seen all of his cards.
Oh,
He
'cause of
knows what
Mind
there's
Crush?
there because of
Oh,
Mind Crush.
that's
He knows
great.
it's double
Yeah.
Mind Crush MST
Oh,
with
you're
a couple
right.
of Pendulum cards, and that there's nothing he could do about it.
Oh man, yeah. And now he's drawn Vanya's Emptiness, so that like if he really needs to, he can just Vanya's Emptiness and global, but he just chooses to concede. Wow.
Yeah, in the end, it's academic. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And Johnson evens it up at 1 apiece. But on the plus side, there is a plus side to this. He still doesn't know about Naturia Beast.
Yes. But now he also sees Glowbulb, so he doesn't know about Naturia Beast, but he understands that there's some synchro strategy going on
something's
in
in
Johnson's deck.
One of these cards is a synchro,
Yeah.
and only one.
He might just think there's a UA synchro he doesn't know about. And hopefully,
Entirely possible.
yeah, and hopefully I'm sure Johnson's been taking advantage of that a lot of the tournament. His opponent's just not exactly knowing what his cards do and getting a bunch of just more ideal situations because they don't know how to react properly, getting blown out by cards like Penalty Box, etc.
Yeah, which card do you destroy? Kaiser
Exactly.
Coliseum or the thing
Yes.
that's letting me draw cards every single turn?
And that's exactly how Game 1, he nearly clinched Game 1 because of that. But, I mean, ultimately, Edmonds pulled it out, but it was most definitely very close. So we'll see what happens in Game 3. Both duels look a little tense.
I wouldn't expect many more counter-siding situations out of this.
Yeah.
Everybody looked like they were pretty much done.
It looks like Edmonds put just Pod Dualizer upstarts back in his deck. I think he's worried
Yeah.
about bricking.
I think he's
Like, he
gonna
just wants the
choose
most
to go
consistent
first
game
and
plan, yeah.
Choose to go first and just draw as much as he can.
It's interesting that Johnson chose to actually keep in Vanya's Emptiness over cards like Raigeki. Because it seems like Vanya's Emptiness can kind of blank the Quillfort if they need to Pendulum summon that turn, but besides that, it's just not going to be the best card to have.
Yeah, I'm
But,
just.
oh, this is so strong.
He's got Duality and Summoner's Art.
Oh, jeez. I think he also had Monolith already, too.
Yep,
If
he
had-
does.
If he has Towers, he can just... Or no, he can't.
Yeah,
because
if
he
you
doesn't
put in
have-
the towers.
Yeah. But I don't even think he has the other necessary Quillforts to do it, but we'll see what he ends up choosing to do this turn.
See, Mind Crush is still in there.
It looks like he has one Quillfort, so he might just be able to search Sacrifice here and set up for the following turn. A big play with Monolith and Scout. Yeah.
There's the Sacrifice.
As long as he doesn't like waste the MST either, he gets to hit the Kaiser Coliseum, which is huge. So he already has the out to that. If he can somehow bait the Vanya's Emptiness and then catch him on a 2-for-1 with the MST on Kaiser Coliseum and Emptiness, that would be great. But it seems unlikely because
Yeah.
the Kaiser
Emptiness
Coliseum will
isn't gonna
prevent him.
flip.
Yeah.
Duality's up next. For Shell, Mystical Space Typhoon, and Laser Clip. That actually did come in from the side deck.
Yeah, that
affords you an extra normal summon and makes it so that they can't be negated.
yeah, that's usually how the Quill Fort deck chooses to OTK. And maybe seeing that Johnson doesn't have the most trap cards, only Kaiser Coliseum, he figured it would be a good addition to his strategy for game 2 and 3. If he only needs to MST the one Kaiser Coliseum and then go from there, it seems pretty good. But he chooses the second copy of MST, which I think is a fine decision at this point. Yeah, his turn 1 is so strong here. Assuming that Johnson can't do anything too proactive, it looks like the 2 MSTs are just going to ruin him. So we'll see what happens.
If he could get the Dunker out on the first turn, that could help break through this.
Doesn't look like that. The old set 3, bluff the Kaiser Coliseum is something better.
Not looking good,
Yeah,
but if Edmonds decides to just blindly knock 2 of them out on the end phase, and he seems to be really considering it.
I don't think it's necessarily incorrect to do that, though, because he got blown out by Mind Crush last turn, and Mind Crush is the card that would prevent him from surviving a turn here. See, I think this is fine. And did he hit both traps? Wow, so he dodged the Kaiser Coliseum.
He dodged the Coliseum, but he put Penalty Box into the graveyard, and that's going to let Johnson, assuming he survives this next turn,
Search
which
the
he
field
very
spell.
well might not, thanks to Killfort Disc.
Yeah. I guess he can also search the signing, right? It's any spell, any UI
Yes,
spell.
he can get signing.
Yeah, that's very powerful. But I don't think he's going to survive. He just also drew Disc. So if there's any time, it's unfortunate that his Quill Fort isn't Helix, so he doesn't feel super safe going in, but I think if there's any time to try to capitalize, it might be now. He didn't see any trap cards that weren't cards like Mind Crush and things like that the other games.
He can get there, though, right? He's got the Scout, so he could theoretically get Helix, Pendulum Summon, and then do it.
Yeah, but
Instead, straight for Disc.
I think what he wants to do, though, is, or what was his other card? He could potentially be trying to go for... No, that doesn't make sense. I was going to say he could do a play involving... he could also just Towers, right? Or no, he has to use his normal summon on... Yeah, never mind. I was going to say he could do a play involving Laser Clip, but his Guardian Monolith, it doesn't seem that great.
And he comes out with a Helix.
2 copies.
Who's that carrier? I have a hard time telling them apart from this distance.
Yeah. So he put both Towers and Laser Clip to the top of his deck when considering searching for Scout, so I think he's going through the same lines I was talking about before.
Oh, and he did side in the Towers.
Yeah. But he needs to get both those cards to do it, right? Because didn't he normal summon the Disc? So he has to...
He did, so he has to play Laser Clip somehow.
Yeah. I'm not even necessarily sure he's able to do that. He
Get a Pendulum back.
just do a bunch of damage.
18, 18, 18, 28.
Oh, no, he gets the Towers via Sacrifice, so that's how he can find the Laser Clip. Because he can find the Laser Clip via Scout. Okay, see, that's what I was gonna say.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, I knew there was some way to get out Towers.
That's right, because he drew the Disc.
Yeah, exactly. Because he drew one of the combo pieces, he was able to do it all.
And he'll draw, what, 5 cards at the end of the turn?
1
4
plus
cards?
4, yes.
1 plus 3?
And he gets the effect of, he can potentially blow up his own Pendulum if you want. He could blow up his own Scout with the Helix if you want to, but I don't think that's that great. But he also gets the Helix's effect, right, if you want to. But did he not?
Looks like they were carriers after all.
No, I'm pretty sure the 2 of them are Helixes under the carrier, but I'm not sure.
He didn't attack with all those guys first.
Yeah, that's also curious. Maybe he just wanted to get the Towers down to be safe before he attacked.
Avoid Mirror Force, etc.
Yeah. Well, he also could have just attacked first, not Pendulum Summoned, right? So not got the extra body, just attacked. Even if he has Mirror Force, Pendulum Summon main phase 2, and then summon the Towers, which might be good, but I'm not exactly sure how UA comes back from a Towers. Maybe involves like 20 turns of Stadium or something, but that also doesn't seem like the best plan. And he finds a Maxi. He finds a Maxi and a Vanity's Emptiness on the end phase. So that means the Maxi will probably stifle Johnson enough, regardless of what he does. Just the fact that he gets a couple draws and might make him choose not to go as aggressive as he would. And then he can Pendulum Summon back all of his monsters next turn and set up with the Vanity's Emptiness. So then just be very well protected. If Johnson can even get over Towers. Yeah, all this starts with getting over the Towers.
I'm looking for a way to do that, and I don't see it. because everything would involve affecting towers with something,
Yeah.
be it Monarch Storm Forth or Penalty Box or what have you. Oh, no, there is a way. If he can get UA powered Jersey
Oh.
and double his monster's attack.
Yeah. The card that's similar to Stoic Challenge.
Or am
card,
I
right?
thinking of Stoic Challenge?
Yeah. I don't think
Power Jersey
Power
just, it's 1,000 attack
yeah.
and defense.
It's not exactly Stoic Challenge.
Yeah. He'd have to get something big. But he could take out both monsters with it,
Yeah.
with the double attacking. So it'd be like Power Jersey Dunker,
There's
which would put him at,
there's the Power Jersey, so maybe he does have a plan.
yeah, that would get Dunker up to 3,500. It would take out the pendulum stuff, and he'd end up having to just crash it into towers to clear it.
Is that also considering the towers? Towers has a effect to reduce the opposing monster's attack, right?
So it'd
does
be
that take that into
2,500
consideration?
plus 35 back down to
Okay,
3,000.
that makes sense.
Starts off with
The Assault Halberd.
an Assault Halberd.
See, it seems so strange not to play Exceeds in this deck, especially when you have cards like Assault Halberd that can
Right.
help you accelerate there. Like anytime Assault Halberd attacks into a field where it can deal damage, it can search another copy of itself. So assuming you special summon the first one, you can just normal summon the second, that's a rank 4.
He tributes for the Slugger.
Power Jerseys it up.
Not bad.
It seems strange that Slugger would not already have a jersey, that it would need a second jersey.
Because it's normal summon, that Slugger was at 2,300.
Yeah, that's a lot. Oh, and he gets to
And he
clear
gets
both.
the second attack.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
He deals double damage from the Power Jersey, right?
Yep. Now, he's got to be careful managing this, otherwise his monster's going to get banished
Yeah.
in the main phase. So he'll swap out for Blockbacker, and the way Jersey works is that if it goes to the graveyard for that, you get it back, and everybody at home probably can't hear the roar of the crowd right now, but they're pretty thrilled at seeing that Kaiser Coliseum, because all of a sudden what seemed like an impossible situation has been turned right back around.
Justin just looked at his playbook, found exactly what he needed, and went with it. Even drawing Bookamoon here doesn't really do much because it still leaves him with a single monster. This is really crazy. Well, if he has access to... He still has Helix, though. He could just Pendulum Summon back the Helix from his extra deck, tribute it away to blow away the Kaiser Coliseum, and then because he has Laser Clip, possibly do more after. But I'm not exactly sure what he can do at this point. But it seems like the game is not exactly... It's not quite over for Edmonds.
And it's all of a sudden way more complicated.
Yes.
We got a search off of Scout.
Hey, he can also just can he just special summon back the carrier actually, and then do the exact same thing, just bouncing away the blocker and then attacking for game because he's at 2,200 because it's a tribute summon, so 24. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah, and he for sure
it's a
has a
normal
carrier
summon.
in his extra deck. He just searched a carrier to his hand. So even if he didn't have the Helix, he finds the single tribute monster. So unless there's something I'm missing.
You know, I mean, he might be just wondering, what else does this guy have in his
Yeah,
deck?
exactly.
He cleared out my disc and my towers like it wasn't anything.
UA Blockbacker's effect doesn't follow the monster to the graveyard, right? It's nothing strange
No,
like...
it's on the field. It's not Kowacky Mirror Power Hand.
Yeah.
He's thinking a long time about this one.
It seemed like he thought a long time about the compulsory evacuation situation as well, though. So
Yeah.
maybe he's just double-checking, making sure that nothing crazy is going to happen. So he announced, he announced that it was a pendulum summon. Or he could have just normal summoned Laser Clip. Summon this to bounce
Normal
away,
summon 2. Bounce that guy away.
Yeah, Johnson's shaking his head. Yep, that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
He fought valiantly in that last game.
Yeah,
Came back
very much
from
so.
what seemed to be an insurmountable lead. But in the end, he was too low on life points afterwards and couldn't quite close the deal.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to win the first game as well and just take this thing 2-0. But he wasn't quite able to get there after an unfortunate run-in with skill drain. It was pretty impressive, though.
No, it was most definitely impressive. I didn't think he was going to be able to clear towers. Most decks just can't even clear towers. And the fact that he was able to clear towers, clear disc, set up a Kaiser Coliseum with a large monster,
That is
like all of that was very, very powerful.
very impressive.
Yeah.
That's another fun one to build.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty easy to get most of the cards in that particular deck. So if you're looking for, secondary deck to take with you,
Yeah, for fun at your locals and whatnot. And especially because he's only playing the single Naturia Beast, so the extra deck doesn't even seem to be that important.
I guess you don't need that.
So it's
I
just
wouldn't
more-
recommend going
exactly,
without
but-
anything about Chariot Beast.
If you're looking to make the same statement Johnson is, you could just move on, be bold.
He's making it this far
Yeah.
with just a Naturia Beast in the 150th YCS, and he's playing very well, too.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
As am I. I wonder, maybe there's just no way for UA to get around the tribute effects, like play around it well, because even if he had the goalkeeper's the Stardust Park similar effect, even that wouldn't have dealt with the carrier. So I don't think there was a way for him to play around that effectively.
Yeah.
As long as he couldn't get rid of the pendulums, and even if he got rid of the pendulums, he was able to search.
Normal
Actually,
summon twice.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, I don't exactly remember what was in his hand, but even if he got rid of the Scout, so assuming he gets rid of Scout, which means he can't pendulum summon and then he can't search the copy of Carrier, so he can't line up that play, I think he had another pendulum monster in his hand that could have completed the scale. So even at MST there, the only card that might have won him the game is something like Fairy Wind.
No, that's why I was big on the Dunker.
Oh,
in this
yeah,
case.
destroying additional cards.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you could
that might
take
have
out either the laser clip and a pendulum, or both pendulum scales in that case.
Well, he needed to deal damage, right? He needed to summon the Mighty Slugger to clear everything, so he probably wasn't able to Dunker that turn.
Well, that is going to wrap it up for us for round 4. We're not even halfway through with day 1, and we've already seen all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, this
So
is pretty
who
awesome.
knows what's going to show up next round, but you'll find out when it gets here.